Here's what you do. Get yourself a black friend. If you got 5 pounds of coke, you have a bag of needles and a scale. Make sure you're riding with a black guy. Jump out the vehicle. If you're pulled over by police, point to the vehicle to that black friend, and I guarantee you'll get off free.
First tonight, this is video of Phoenix police arresting a black man who's deaf and has cerebral palsy. That arrest is violent, and in this story, we're going to show you close body camera footage that's intense and difficult to watch, so please consider this your warning.
It happened late this summer, and that means it happened after the Department of Justice released its historic and severe report against Phoenix PD. Here's ABC 15 Chief Investigator Dave Biscobig.
Yeah, we reached out to Phoenix police about this arrest, but they aren't saying much about it. They only confirmed it's now under internal investigation. But this case raises a lot of questions, and it really serves as sort of a test case. And that's both for Phoenix and the DOJ. See, Phoenix is trying to prove it doesn't need federal oversight. But will the DOJ trust the city when things like this continue to happen? You've seen the surveillance video. A Phoenix officer pulling into a parking lot, pulling in front of a man, darting out of his truck, then immediately going after him. Now this is the body camera footage.
Everybody stop where you're at.
Remember, the man is deaf and has cerebral palsy.
Let's see. Tase him, tase him, tase him. Get your hands behind your back. Get your hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. Get your hands behind your back. Hold them. Move, move. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. Ultra X-ray taser, deploy more units.
Let me give you some backstory on this. So, police are called to this store in Arizona where someone needed to be trespassed off the property. So the police respond to that 911 call. They show up at the scene, and the employees say, hey, this white guy out here needs to be trespassed off the property. Police go outside and identify the guy that the employees are talking about, who's a white male. And then the white male says, hey, this black guy over here, he attacked me. So the police immediately run up to this guy here who happens to be deaf and has cerebral palsy, and immediately jump out of the vehicle and pounce this guy and started attacking him to arrest him, to put him in handcuffs.
Hand behind your back! Hand behind your back! Get more! Hand behind your back! More! Hand behind your back! Hand behind your back!
Between the two officers, the man is punched.
Before anyone talks about race, I can't get past race because he's deaf. He can't hear. So what do?
At least 10 times and tasered 4 times.
He can't understand them, and he's deaf and he's physically compromised. The entire thing is just outrageous.
That's Jesse Showalter. He agreed to watch the video with us, and that's because he's an attorney for Tyrone McAlpin. Together, they're planning to bring an excessive force lawsuit against the Phoenix Police Department.
12 years you'd like to?
But before we get into that, first let's get into why officers went after Tyrone.
And they wouldn't even give me a water jug after that.
When we look at the body camera that we've seen so far, what it shows is that Circle K employees had a Caucasian male in the store causing problems, and they called the police to trespass this person who wouldn't leave.
Hey, you guys just want this guy to trespass? Okay.
And when police arrive, they don't do any investigation to find out what this guy was doing in the store. Instead, they talk to the guy, and he claims that he was assaulted and points to somebody in the street that he claims did it.
The guy pointed at Tyrone, who was across the street.
You're saying that's the guy that assaulted? Right there, with the backwards hat on, yep.
I mean, so we have a situation where the officers respond. Some white guy says, hey, no, some black guy assaulted me, and they just drop what they're doing and head right over there.
That's what the video shows.
He was standing outside the door opening and saying, that dude. Why didn't you wait here first? The black guy?
Yeah. And that takes us back to this point.
Let's see.
and this police officer, out of the gate, assaults him, and then uses Tyrone's attempts to protect himself to try to justify felony charges.
Officials charged Tyrone with aggravated assault and resisting arrest. In their reports, officers wrote Tyrone tried to walk away from them, took a fighting stance, threw repeated punches at them, and bit one of them.
Everything that I see in that video, as well as the other officer's body camera, looks like Tyrone's just trying to avoid being harmed by these officers. And that only makes them escalate the situation and increase the degree of violence that they're using.
One of the officers says Tyrone bit him. I mean, how do you respond to that?
Tyrone was face down on the ground with two officers striking and choking him, and that the only way that Tyrone could have possibly bit anybody on the hand or wrist is if one of those officers placed their hand or wrist in his mouth. And what it looks like from the video is that the officer who claims he was bitten was using an illegal chokehold on Tyrone.
Here's the question that, invariably, undoubtedly will be asked. Why didn't he just comply?
And the answer is easy, is he's deaf. He couldn't understand what they were doing, and he had done nothing wrong.
What
Messing with him for no reason.
What kind of disabilities do you have?
He's deaf and he's got cerebral palsy.
Okay.
And I've been having a phone with him since Circle K.
How is he deaf if you've been on the phone?
Because I know sign language, that's why. I signed to him. That's why.
Nowhere in their police reports did the two officers document they were told about Tyrone's disabilities, but records do show.
Okay, let's do some backstory on this. So this guy is at Circle K in Arizona. The police are called to the Circle K because someone is causing problems inside the Circle K. Police respond to the 911 call. They show up to the scene. The employees say, hey, this guy outside here, we need him trespassed from the property. He's the white gentleman standing outside. The police go outside, identify the guy that's causing the problems to remove him from the property. The guy outside says, hey, I was attacked by this gentleman over here, and points to a random person. He just outright lies. And so the police go over to this black guy and jump out of the vehicle, immediately starts pouncing on him, tries to handcuff him, punches him several times, tases him. The guy happens to be deaf and has cerebral palsy. The thing I can't get past, I can't even identify the race issue in this. I can't get even to that point because the gentleman is deaf. He can't hear. So then they take this to a court to justify the charges that they're charging this guy with felony from resisting arrests and biting a police officer. So the police officer is saying, hey, you know what? He bit me and he put his hands up and looked like he was trying to attack me. So that's why we're charging him with the charges here. This is crazy. Insane. He's deaf, people. So once this goes to a court to justify the charges, the judge should be fired. The police chief should be fired. The police officer should be fired. Why did anyone stand up for this guy who happens to be deaf, going from point A to point B, and not say, hey, stop what you're doing. This guy is innocent. This guy over here is totally lying. And then why didn't they just look at the security camera footage to analyze it a little better? He never should have been in charge in the first place. They should be sued until the middle of next week. As always, more guns equals less crime. Go ahead and buy yourself a gun.